I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So there are a couple of things with the agenda. There was a price for the gas operating and maintenance plan. It is $925. And then also Brian Brennan was asking for numbers 7 and 8 to be pulled out from the consent agenda and discussed separately. And we're thinking of that after or right before number 3 in the city business. All right, so with those changes, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
McNeil with the first and Helm with the second.
Helm,
Yes.
Postian,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
All right, so first up is communications. We do have one scheduled. It'll be discussion, possible action concerning grilling on the sidewalk during Hawkeye football games.
Some.
Oh yeah, some. Yes, sir. You want to tell us your plans?
We just want to put a little flat top out there and do some grilling. Probably going to be just sort of the middle afternoon games, not the night games, not the early games. So you don't know what the schedule is because you can't, it's TBD on most of the time. So just trying to do a sort of a little mini tailgate, sort of a feel.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking tables and also?
No, the tables are already there.
All right,
This is just we're
just
just-
adding the grill.
Just going to put the grill somewhere, and if we have to, we can do it out back, but we just thought it'd be a little cooler if we could do it out front somewhere.
Sure.
And you talked to Chief Dufour and Brian or
Chief said that she didn't like me personally, but I don't
Well,
know.
that's
I don't know what that means. Is that meaningful, Chief?
all right.
The grill's okay. She still doesn't like you.
Exactly. See, that's a political statement.
All right, is there any motion that needs to be had with this?
Yeah, it's set up for approval.
All right,
Motion.
Second.
Cummins with the first and Postian with the second.
Helm,
Yes.
Postian,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
All right, awesome, thank you. So with that scheduled one out of the way, now we'll move to the unscheduled. If anybody would like to address the council, make your way to the podium. Seeing there are none, I'll close that portion of the meeting and we'll go down to the consent agenda. And this can be enacted with one motion. It's the approval of the council meeting minutes from August 8th, approval of the council meeting minutes from August 15th, approval of the investment and treasurer's report from July of 22, approval of the library minutes from July 18th, approval of the library director's report from July of 2022, the approval of the adoption of new gas operating and maintenance plan. Then we skip down to number 9, which is the approval of the replacement lane lines and lane line reel for the James Kennedy Aquatic Center, and the approval of the replacement of men's locker room at the same James Kennedy Aquatic Center, approval of the Waffles and Wheels fundraiser for THS Band in the Park on Sunday, September 11th, and the approval of the claims register, which includes claims paid under the current purchase policy. Do any of those need to be pulled out? If there is none, is there a motion to pass the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Posturing with the first and Cummins with the second.
Postian,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Helm.
Yes.
All right, so the first up tonight is discussion and possible action concerning the Cedar County Co-op's request for sanitary sewer easement across the city's soccer fields. Mr. Wagner?
Yes, we have in your packet an email that I sent to the mayor and council explaining that the co-op was making this request, and then along with that, we had a drawing that had 3 options drawn with green lines The one to the north, most northernly is the option number 1. The middle one is 2. The diagonal one is number 3. The one that's proposed for tonight is the green line in the middle. It's going straight across in a bit of a drainage way. It's between fields, so it's thought to be less intrusive. David is here too, if anybody has any questions further about what they have in mind. Or Dave, do you have any statements you'd like to make to explain it further?
Well, you said, Brian, that 2 would be the most logical location for that line for sewer. We would utilize that for the new building going up currently, and then we have it's not in this drawing, but we have a petroleum site there over to the east side, and then our fertilizer site west of that, and run all 3 buildings sewer into one line down to number 2. Literally. Just had to go there.
And just to clarify something that I've already mentioned to a couple of council members, I'll mention it to the rest. There was a question that came up about the timing of this, and if it was known sooner, why wasn't it brought up when the tree zone issue came up? Well, I knew about it earlier. There was an email I was copied on that also went to BB and went to Steve. And at the time, I saw it as 2 different issues that were not connected to each other. And I was concerned that if both were brought up at the same time, they would be smashed together and confused together. And so the original idea was to have it come to the council at your first meeting in July, but due to schedules where I wanted both BB and David to be here for this in case there were questions to either. So it didn't work out until tonight. Either one was gone or the other one was out of town or something like that. So the delay in timing and not bringing them up together, that's my fault. But again, I was trying to avoid confusing the 2 issues. If the council is favorable to this, it doesn't end tonight. There's a public process that's required. We would, if you're favorable to it, we would need an easement exhibit drawn up along with a legal description that would have to be done by a surveyor. An attorney would have to come up with an easement agreement document. And since this is the case of a city, you just can't simply sign over an easement without public process. You would have to, I believe, at one meeting, you'd have to set a public hearing and then hold the public hearing at another meeting on the proposed agreement. And then anybody could come in who wants to make comments if they want to. And then at the conclusion of the public hearing, the council would make a final decision on whether or not to execute and have the agreement recorded. Since the co-op is making the request, the city could say, it's up to them to hire the surveyor to have the exhibit and the description drawn up. You could require their attorney to write the easement agreement. If you want, you could you could require the co-op to reimburse the city for the cost of our attorney to review it and come up with anything related to the public process, such as a resolution on whether or not to approve it. But if you're favorable to it, I just wanted to make it clear, it doesn't end tonight. It has a public process that the law would require us to do. Do you have, David, do you have an idea of how wide it would have to be, the easement area? I think BB was thinking 15 feet wide, but
I think 15. There's about 30 foot in between the ball fields. Anything less than that, I think would be appropriate, but
And it's gonna be bored, so it isn't like, it's gonna be tore up through those two fields.
the alignment of two is perfect for where they need to get to and right between two ball fields. So they got to cross Adams gas line, pretty good sized gas line.
Is that gonna tear up the soccer field?
Yeah, if you're.
Is it gonna tear it up though?
No,
No, all, they're on board.
not initially, no.
We
What if
walked
anything
right with
happens?
Wayne Lynch does directional boring. And there would be a dig on each end, more or less, probably a small dig at his gas line. And he'll bore the bulk of that to make the connection at the west end of the field. Still, he'll have to do an open dig there, pretty minor. Wayne does good work. He'll make it nice. I went to the ball field just prior to the meeting and looked at the dirt that washed down the hill, if that's on anybody's mind. There's been a machine in there and already tuned that up, made it look nice. Go out, needs to return, rough the dirt up, throw a little seed in it, it's gonna be just fine. It looks really good, just needs a little seed.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
All right, one more. You say
Yeah.
2 is the most sought after, what's the direction to go?
Well, it's the most economical route for the whole lot. It makes the most sense, putting the leach on material in the ground. Number two, yes.
1 seems to be a shorter distance.
Problem with one is there's a baseball field down there. So it's kind of a roadblock. I believe one is the south route. Is that right? I've seen that map of the one.
No, one's the
One's
north.
one's the north ground.
Okay, let me retract that statement. So two is what lines up with where they want to get their buildings. One would cause them to have to run. They're still going to originate from the same place and have to dig north and then come along a whole bunch of gas main. Yeah, rather than cross it, run parallel with it, so it would probably triple or quadruple your distance. Route 3 would do something similar. Route 3, what you don't see on Route 3 is there's a ball field built there now. It's not in that satellite photo. And John just said, number one, we got a bunch of electric transformer and primary. From a utility standpoint, I prefer two.
Ron?
With drawing on it, does he need no water separator?
Hmm.
And would it be advisable for the fertilizer too? Or does he require a column for that besides the unit?
Bathroom. Sink.
What kind of petroleum stuff will you be working with, Dave? Will it be open?
There's a bathroom in there currently,
Okay,
and right now we've got a septic tank, just south of the fertilizer building. Again, a bathroom. We're not adding any bathrooms or anything. The showing guys have a bathroom, sink, urinal. Fertilizer plant has a toilet and sink.
I was thinking more on your industrial side and your bays. Do your bays have floor drains to them?
Yeah, we don't. I'm just taking sewers.
So then where will the floor drains or the bay drains go to?
There's no bay drains or anything in the chemical building. That's completely contained again, the fertilizer is a bathroom, not even close to where the thing, they've seen that. It's not even close to where we're doing any fertilizer anyway. And, yeah, so the 2 site would be the most logical.
You can work around soccer season, right?
Or football or baseball.
Oh, yeah. Well, baseball,
T-ball starts like in April.
that's
It's
right
right
there,
after.
too.
And then summer's all baseball.
And they're all,
Yep.
the field's all the same.
Yep.
I knew like football was, but I didn't realize.
What?
She's got.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need to call on me.
Well, I don't know. My biggest concern is down the future and we give up control of this easement as government, that's city property. And we have no control on years down the road. If somebody comes in, I don't know. This is just me throwing it out there. I'm not sure if 15 feet you can put equipment in there to repair something. And I worry about giving up the control of our property to somebody else. Especially one that's used from late March to October. So that's my view on it.
B, did you have any idea how much depth might be looked at for this?
I think maybe we talk about an average depth of 4 to 5 feet across the flat. You know, we gotta maintain a couple % slope across
Yeah.
there, make it flow right. The sewer line's a little deeper when you get over there on the other end, it's 10. I would think they'd average 4 to 5 foot deep across there.
I was trying to get an idea if 15 feet would be adequate for the depth that's being proposed.
A lot of times on something like that, they come in with a mini hole these days, things are pretty tight radius, you know. You know, your spoiled pile of dirt is gonna take up more space than a machine.
Well, and the easement agreements have typical language that the entity that's allowed the easement have to put the surface of the ground or, the ground that's there in as good or better condition as it was when they started. So really, it's sort of like what the mayor said. The main question is if that area is reserved for the co-op, you might be able to put something across the surface, but you might, depending on the easement, be subject to losing it if they ever have a problem below. So if it's 15 feet, you'd have to pretty much assume that it wouldn't be in use unless it was something that could be moved.
But then also moving ahead, if you guys do approve this part of it, then we get to the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Austin with the first.
Second.
McNeil with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins,
Just to be clear, we're voting,
Just to move forward with the
So,
process,
yep.
not,
Helm,
Yes.
Poshton.
all right. Second one, discussion and possible action concerning Leb Energy Advisors proposal to draft an RFP for the solar array. And Dave is online right now, but I'll hand it over to Brian for a second.
Yeah, in the packet, you have the proposal that Dave drew up. And it's for approximately $5,000. Now, I guess one thing I guess I wanted to reiterate, as I had mentioned to you in a message, Dave said that on their original quote on doing the feasibility, there was about 3,000 that had been quoted that hadn't been used. This would look at RFP, or request for proposals, which is a variation of a bidding document, to have two choices. And one would be the 1 megawatt solar array. The second one would be for 2 on those approximately 11 acres. And with that, they're developing a site plan. So everybody, those doing proposals, those who live nearby, can see how close or how far the solar array might be. I also laid out a couple of things that there are a couple of pages. One was from the Gazette. It was a story that I noticed. I think it was either late last year or early this year. And it mentions that solar has no adverse effect on property values. This is looking at a large array somewhere else. So I just put it out for your reading because I know there are probably different opinions. One side or the other would say maybe it affects it. Another side might say maybe it wouldn't. Then along with that, second page is the table that I sent to you that Melissa did for us. And it's supposed to give a more simplified view of the impact of the tax credits if they play out the way that we're hoping they do. So this shows the state energy loan for the 1 megawatt system. They do 2% for 15 years on 3/4 of the amount of the project. So that was $1.5 million. We talked about a $2 million or a $500,000 internal loan. That would get us through construction. The tax credit would offer upfront money, according to this, of around $557,000. So we immediately pay off the internal loan, pay ourselves back, and then there's still around $57,000 in cash left in the tax credits. And then Melissa did 2 columns on the right showing annual cash flow and aggregate or cumulative cash flow in the column with green. And then down on year 17, I think, is the inverter replacement that Dave mentioned at your last meeting. So it is planned into this. Anyway, we thought we would give you this because the mayor mentioned to me that maybe the question about cash flow year to year and then cumulative wasn't covered as well as we would have hoped at the last meeting. So I'm hoping that this table helps more. Now, Melissa isn't here tonight, but if anybody has questions, certainly feel free to talk to her. But the reason why we were looking at proposing the RFP now is to have it drawn up so that if these tax credits come through and play out the way we hope, we'll be ready to basically go. Maybe there'll be some minor amendments, but we were hoping to not wait, see what those are, and then add this on, and then maybe, get behind, depending on how long these tax credits are available or how others use them. Also, the energy loan is a fund that may not be around long-term. So if it is usable and it's still there, and I'm told that for now it is still there, the sooner that we could apply to it because we're ready, the better off we would be. So with that, Dave, do you have anything you want to add about your proposal?
Well, yeah, it's like you said, we had done phase 1 and phase 2, and the phase 2 was really to do the RFP for you. The phase 1 was to do the feasibility analysis. And as part of the RFP, then it's not just putting together the RFP, it's reaching out to potential bidders that we know that are reputable bidders that would be interested in this project. Also, as part of the RFP process, before they even submit a bid, we would have a site visit where we would have them take a look at the site, have an understanding of what the electrical infrastructure would be there, prior to them submitting a bid for that, and allow them to ask questions, about the project. So probably, the entire RFP process, from reaching out to potential bidders to actually getting the bids in, is probably about a 3-month process.
Any questions regarding either the spreadsheet or the proposal for the proposal? All right. And I'll ask, is there a motion to approve or deny this agreement?
Motion approved.
Helm with the first to approve. All right, then that motion will die. Is there another motion?
I like the idea, but just do it at a later date, so I'm gonna motion to deny.
Well, it would be at a later date.
When the supply chain issues straighten out,
Yeah.
I think things will get cheaper. I'm only talking maybe 2 years, maybe 3.
But then again, I can almost guarantee these tax credits won't be there.
Nah, you can't say that either.
Can't say the price of stuff will go down either. And if it all evens out, then would it be better to try and look for it now than 2 to 3 years down the road?
Well, the other part of it is, first, if you do an RFP and it isn't anywhere close to Melissa's chart, you don't have to accept a proposal.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
It's like a bid. You don't have to accept it.
Right.
But if it would play out anywhere near what our spreadsheet is showing, it seems like it's a pretty good investment.
Mhm.
All right, but it's still on the table. Tim made a motion to deny.
Well, we can change it to look at the numbers, and that ain't gonna hurt.
Then, well, I have to go with Tim now made a motion to approve for the request for proposals.
Yeah,
I'll second.
it's drawing them up. It isn't issuing them yet until we're ready. It's just having them in the can, ready to go.
Right.
McNeil with first and Cummins with second.
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Poschin,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
All righty, thank you.
All right, so now we'll go down to number 3, which is discussion and possible action concerning the electrical department purchase of a switchgear cabinet at the price of $74,000. Mr. Brennan?
Were you putting?
What?
were you
It'll be
putting
right
that
after it.
After, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I was thinking it was before.
Right after this one?
Yep.
So very recently,
you guys approved a purchase for 2 cabinets, very, very similar to this, to go on South Street, will be tied to the industrial feeder project. 52 weeks was a lead time on those. Okay. John's brought to my attention the concept that he's discussed. Him and Floyd, I believe, discussed this also with Owen and Shermco about the intersection of Meridian and 4th Street. Okay, you've got old style switching, one phase at a time, not load sensing, not paralleling. It's old style. It can cause some end rush, can cause some issues there. Those types are kind of old school. We've also done a little bit of work to lead up to this, what I'm pitching to you. Okay, I think maybe we've got a little interduct in the ground, maybe some fiber to control it. So you've got a little bit invested already in preparation for this previously. The opportunity is, we want to put this in with the bids when we bid the industrial feeder. Use the bond, okay, add this in and have them put it in, whoever wins that labor contract. Okay,
For the industrial feeder.
for the industrial feeder, okay. So this isn't exactly the industrial feeder. It's an opportunity for an upgrade in the grid during that project. It's an opportunity to get it put in by a contractor. It's also an opportunity to take advantage of one East Circuit outage rather than causing several later. We'll
Sure.
catch it at the same time. Everything will be installed, everything will be ready. Boom, we shut down, make the connections, bring everything back up. So if you didn't approve this tonight, we're not going to cry about it. We can keep going old school, but we are going to miss an opportunity. So both an opportunity on a contract and an outage, and an opportunity to pay for it with this fund.
This this equipment also ties into all the way back to where the locker is, and that's on the old 2400 system. And they'll be looking at switching from the 2400 to the normal 7200 system that we have. Yeah, anyway. And it all those poles that run from the public workshop, Tiger Mart, all the way up, we have all that. That's the only thing that's there for is the locker. So I don't need any of that stuff once the locker is into this gear in this contract. It's another way to look at it.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Foster with the first and Helm with the second.
Cummins?
Yes.
Helm?
Yes.
Ashton?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Hembry?
Yes.
All right, so now we'll go back up to the interduct purchase. That'd be number 7 on the consent agenda.
Number 7.
Yes.
Yeah, which is the 4-inch, which is exactly for the industrial project. I asked to pull this out because after we prepared the agenda, we had another quote come.
Which we kind of thought it might happen that way anyway.
It's a little bit cheaper, so I brought them to you.
Oh, we don't like cheap ones.
I brought them to you this style since I couldn't get it into the agenda. But there's also though, the disadvantage is the cheaper price is a way longer lead time. Okay. So it's you see option 1, option 2. Right now, we're just talking about option 1. We'll come to option 2 later. So from John DeGabriel at Power Line Supply, $431 a foot for 9,000 foot, 38,790. That's 45 weeks. Okay. And our Terry Duran quote is 43,830. There's a difference of what, about $5,000. That lead time is 6 weeks. It's much more available. So the question becomes, do we want to wait 6 weeks? Do we want to wait 42? Much of the project materials, we're waiting 52 weeks anyway.
Right.
It's not like that. Cheaper price and 45-week lead time causes a big issue on that.
And that price is firm.
That price is firm. I can't tell you for how long. It's good right now. So kind of leave it up to you guys. I'd probably suggest saving the $5,000 and waiting 45 weeks.
Yeah,
on
because
that.
we're waiting anyway.
Yeah, because this is, and it's specifically for that project, right? Yeah.
Our very next item is a similar discussion, but the margin is much cheaper. And it might go the other way.
Okay.
But for this one, we're suggesting a motion to approve the quote from Power Line Supply for 9,000 foot of 4-inch at $431 a foot. Total $38,790.
Is there a motion?
Add to that,
Yeah, do you want to?
You have to,
this is something we thought the previous superintendent had ordered. We were under that impression for 3 weeks. And then we found out that it wasn't. It's just kind of typical for us to dig in, figure things out, look at old emails. Well, that's kind of how we arrived at this. So, the price is still good. It's better.
all right. Is there a motion to approve the 38,000?
I'll motion for
Second.
the 30.
Cummins with the first and McNeil with the second.
Poshton.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Hembry.
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
Helm.
Yes.
All right, so then we'll go to the next one, which is also introduct purchase. Mr. Brennan?
This one, I wanted it pulled out for a little bit different reason. I have a mistake in the proposal, and where my mistake come from is my footage. Okay, I thought we were doing 4,000 foot of that 2-inch. It's not, it's 12,000 foot that we want. So that 5680 is an erroneous number. It would actually be that times 3, which would be in the 17,000 and change ballpark. Okay, back up a little bit. This 2-inch is not industrial feeder. This is separate. We keep X amount of 2-inch interduct in our inventory at the lower yard. We've got into that pretty good here lately. We went out to Little's, buried it all out there. We went to co-op, put in 3,300 foot last week. I say they did that, okay. Xerxes had a phase fill Thursday night. Friday, the guys went up there, temporary depth. Today, we went up and trenched in probably 1,200 feet. Long story short, we're getting low on inventory, we want to put some back. So we're asking for a approval of one quote or the other. Okay, we'll do some really quick math. 5680 times 3 is $17,000.40. That is from Terry. It's from Terry Duran. Okay. The other quote that come in the 11th hour after we already did the agenda is from Power Line Supply again, Shonda Gabriel, $1.36. Difference of $1.42 to $1.36. So that's 6 cents a foot difference. Okay, total from Power Line Supply would be $16,320. And so the difference is $16,320 is $720 difference. So we're cheaper at Power Line Supply now. They're 15 to 17 weeks out. Terry Durham was available, I think. I was thinking that was available right away.
And you need it.
I have some on hand, but we haven't been using a lot.
It's not an emergency,
No.
by any means. So 15 weeks, you think that put us in a line?
Nice.
So probably, we probably recommend to go with the Power Line Supply again for $16,320 for 12,000 foot of 2-inch for restock.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Cummins and seconded by McNeil for the $16,000 quote.
Poshton.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Helm or Hembry.
Which one?
Hembry. It doesn't matter. Cummins.
Yes.
Yes.
Helm.
Yep, and now Helm. Yep.
We're all yes.
If I could, real quick, Mayor.
Yeah.
John, can you kind of share with them what we got left for industrial feeder? Just roughly.
Just the material we need?
Yeah, so we got a lot of the big ticket items after
Yeah.
tonight are handled, but we have some incidentals. I mean,
Oh, yeah. And not really incidental, I mean, it just, I don't know what the price are gonna be yet. It's gonna be all the connecting points for all the wire that we've ordered. It's gonna be elbows, and terminators and all that. It's just not a couple, we're looking at 60 of these things, just because of the parallel run of everything. So I've had a sales rep in today. He's the one that I usually deal with all this stuff. It's the brand that we like to use. He's gonna give me some numbers on everything. I've been kind of holding off on some of this because of some other equipment that we're looking at, just some, I call them basic cabinets, but the lead time on those have been crazy also. I got lead times of 65 weeks on some of that stuff. It's running us way past when we want to do this project. I've got some other feelers out right now. I'm just kind of waiting to hear back. But I had to see what size these elbows and connectors are to make sure they fit inside the cabinets I'm going to get, because I mean, my typical stuff is, this big, and this stuff is this much bigger, and I got to make sure it fits inside these cabinets. So I'm kind of juggling to see what I can get, who I can get it from, if it's going to work. So we should have that coming back to you here shortly, probably next council, I suppose.
each decision we make, we're trying to make sure we get the right stuff. Make
Yeah.
sure it works. We had a salesman in today, had the
Yeah.
book out helping us with measurements. You piggyback these spaces, they end up with 19 inches. Well, we don't
Yeah.
want to have a 19-inch connection and then have a cabinet at home.
Yeah, an 18-inch opening, and
I think both of us are a little surprised how long it's taken to put all this together, but it's getting done for you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, moving down to number 4, which is discussion and possible action concerning the use of sod as an alternative to grass seeding on the North Avenue project. It says that I requested this item, which I did do, because I don't know, fortunately, unfortunately, it's just across the street from me. And I have seen these lawns torn up for the better part of a year. They went through a winter without their driveway. Well, they had the driveway, but it was gravel instead of cement. And I don't know. I know I had talked with one council person about the possibility of changing language in contracts moving forward. But I brought this up because we've seen what Hydro Seed does as well, and it's not the greatest. So there you go.
I guess maybe one question is, I worded it on here. I thought it was being proposed to use as a policy going forward and not just limited to North Avenue, but is your proposal North Avenue?
It'd be both. Because one council person I talked to said they definitely wanted to look into changing the language moving forward.
Is that?
I'm still for that,
Yeah.
moving forward.
Is that to use,
Have the homeowners water it, and if they want sod,
so that would be sod right off the bat, not after conventional seeding fails?
Good question.
I mean, in this case, it has,
Mhm.
but I'm wondering about going forward.
Sure.
So I haven't seen any seed on any of the streets taken.
No.
Right,
Even last year too.
Yeah.
right.
You say putting it back the way it was, if not better. The seed hasn't taken, just across the street myself. I'm with the mayor.
And then if you guys do want to move forward with that, I know I talked to Jason about credit for watering or whatever. And I talked to Brian Brennan about maybe it should be up to the city to actually come through and water it using one of their trucks and the public works guys. So I don't know what the best answer for that is, but those were thoughts falling around since.
Well, one thought, if you're looking at doing sod right off the bat, not as a backup to seeding not working, maybe you could look at North Avenue as a test case, and then if it works, make a determination going forward.
They've hydro seeded that, haven't they?
They did a portion of it.
Portion of it?
They did it up to Miss Cheezick's house.
Okay. I'm assuming it's all button weeds too.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'd hate to see you say, well, okay, we're gonna go sodding from now on until you see how it works out here first. If it works and everybody's happy with it, then maybe that's your policy.
I can live with that.
Good with that.
So,
Why does the hydro seed fail?
well, because they put it down in July.
Who wrote the contract?
They also put it down last November.
Each time's too late.
But I mean, they come in and just do it when they do it.
There's more weeds than grass too.
You know, you're still going back to your contract and how it's written. You know, if you want your seed to grow, you're gonna put it down in March or April. Fair enough. Because if you don't have it before then, you're gonna burn it up in the first 2 weeks of June, depending on the cycle. And your winter seed time is basically, it was 2 weeks ago. So what we're doing now may or may not take, whether you hydro seed or not. You know, so, yeah, there's pros and cons, but, you know, the caveat that I'll throw to North Avenue is if any one of the council members is directly impacted, I'll vote against it. You know, because I look at it as a benefit for personal, and it would be tough, you know. The other part is hold the contractor accountable. What is so wrong with that? They didn't finish their part of it.
Well, with this one, they've finished the project and then another one started.
Mhm.
And the contract for the one that got started didn't have any restoration.
And that was part of the original contract that we asked. Because you did the water main,
For the water main, yes.
you know, because you could look at it like farming. In between row crop, you're going to do cover crop to prevent erosion in the fall, which would have been the same thing after the water main project. I know Iowa City always puts in restoration after the water main. So,
But then we had another project that started up right after that. And there was no time for that. Brian, sorry, you had your hand up? Okay.
I just, there's a couple electrical things to do here. There's the paving, understand I'm moving in a couple of days, so I don't know what you guys had in mind for timeline. But there is some contractor obligation there. This one's kind of sticky because Triple B could come back and say, well,
Exactly.
you come in with your electric project. And one thing I know about sod, she dies quick if you don't water it. So we gotta have a really good plan watering, and that's my biggest concern. So,
So I don't know. It's obviously in your guys' hands. I don't think it impacts anybody of us personally. I can just see it from my driveway.
The other thing that we talked about in-house, I don't think it was in Steve's memo, was if you tried hydro seeding or grass seeding now, and if it didn't work, look at sodding in the spring. As a, you know, if he wants one more whack at doing it with grass seed, let him do that. And, you know, if it doesn't work, say, we'll do sod in the spring.
That's fair enough.
All right, well, is that a motion to
I guess, yeah.
follow those, to follow that track?
Yes.
Helm with the first to do hydro seeding one more time, and then if that fails, look at sod in the spring.
You say sod in the spring, what month?
I have no idea. I'm not
We'll have to
a
revisit it.
grassologist.
We'll have to revisit it.
Grass
I mean,
all
we wouldn't succeed in doing sod now anyway.
But if you.
So we
said that
would
you
just
want
have to
sod
revisit it.
by the second week of April, you could forecast that, and you know it's gonna work for
If the hydro seal don't take.
you. Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
So we second it with an April.
I mean,
Sure, if you want to, but, or I mean, between now.
we don't know what, if the winter's gonna last longer. I mean,
Right?
Well, not only that, but how quickly is, as soon as
Must
the
be an
hydro
early
seed
spring.
come out?
what's that?
Supposed to be an early spring.
They just say that all the time.
Farmer's Almanac did.
When does it say to seed?
Where we at?
I don't know. Ron said it, yesterday was the last day you could do hydro seed right now.
DOTC dates.
According to this letter, or this, what do you want to call it? It says the next 30 days is good for seeding. That's what I'm reading here.
That's what Steve.
And if that's the case, then we need to make a decision.
One more try and then look at it in April.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, you had experience yourself with, but I know,
I got-
I know it was later than
I get a
August.
turbine backup, so. I mean, yeah, it was just, it was done in July. Grass don't grow in July. So,
Established.
no. But are they gonna be done tearing everything up in the next 30 days?
November 21st.
No. So what, I mean,
So are we wasting our efforts?
right, are we gonna have ruts and have to go back and fill them in again and all that good stuff? I mean, I hate. I know what it's like not having a yard. I hate saying it, but do we go through a freeze and thaw, let everything settle again? I don't know. I'm not. I don't play in the dirt.
No, neither grassologist either.
Just use North Avenue as the experiment and we can move forward after the project's done.
Right, yeah. Yep, what are we out?
Nothing, just time.
No, we'll probably have to hire a company to come in and do it.
Isn't there a clause in there that says if they don't foresee don't take it, they have to come back and do it? I would assume there's something.
But
Usually agree now, should be language.
Okay.
I don't know if it, I can't say how it's worded here.
Yeah.
But then do we get into a battle with Triple B and them saying, we tried?
If you guys approve more follow-up seating, I'll look into it for you. Call the engineers and we'll talk with Triple B and see what we can come up with. Because there is warranty there. The question mark is electric come in and tromp it. Right.
Sure.
But I can see where I can get with Brad.
Electric want to be a directional board?
Yeah, they had give,
It's just everywhere they surfaced and everywhere they tromped and then the lack of rain.
So to keep
It's a
on.
combination of all of it.
yeah, no, they're all up and down it.
And the first rain on that seed was a 4-inch whopper.
Yep. And then it was all in the gutter.
Which is.
All right, so I think McNeil still has made the motion to try the hydro seed again, and if not, relook at it at the latest by
Can we
second week
alter
of
the
April.
motion based also on the information that we are
Exactly.
provided? From our wonderful BB over
Yeah,
there.
like use North Avenue as the guinea pig.
Yes.
Hopefully you kept the receipt.
Okay,
Yep. And so then will that be the same motion or a separate motion to quote unquote use North Avenue as the guinea pig for further contract?
we'll
Like,
table it till we hear from Brian. Triple B.
I don't know. But I just feel like.
We're gonna go ahead and hydro
that I
seal
can-
right off the bat, right? Or are you gonna check on it first?
Yeah.
I'll give you an update right
Okay.
now.
Then I'll let Tim's motion fail and then you want to make a motion to table this? Is that what
Yeah,
we're doing? All right. So motion to table this until we get more information from Brian Brennan.
Motion?
He made,
Just a second.
what, I know.
Just a sec.
second.
This is all about grass too.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's all about pride in your house too.
Mhm. Does that mean that it would, if it's tabled, it would come back to whenever you set your first meeting in September?
Sounds like it.
We actually need to get it done in the next 30 days to get it done, which it take right now. I'd say go ahead and use North Avenue as a guinea pig once he finds out any information. As a test.
Yeah, you can make a motion authorizing him to do that,
Because otherwise, if you wait until September, you're gonna fall over 30 days.
to use his best judgment on how to proceed.
All right. So we can make a motion giving Brian Brennan the discretion to move ahead with the hydro seed this fall.
I will second Mike Helm's motion.
Okay, there we go. So then we'll-
It's all part of being wonderful.
You're gonna have a whole lot of hats here in a minute.
Did somebody second?
Yeah, Abby did.
Oh.
Pay attention to me.
I'm
Yeah,
just sitting
after all
here,
that.
right?
After all that.
Helm,
Helm.
okay, change again.
I know.
Well, you're gonna check on when the last time, as far as when they're gonna take care of it, right? And you said within 30 days, what was the deadline?
I'm just going based off of what's in our packet here, and it was written August 16th and it said 30 days.
So sometime before the 15th of September, get it done.
So, she asked for your yes or
Helm.
no?
Yes.
Poston,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins.
All right, moving on to the next one is an ordinance number 585. It amends the city code of ordinances that in regards to the planning and zoning commission, the members of it, the number of members in it. And this is the second reading. Any
Yeah.
new thing to report, Mr. Wagner?
Oh, we're being flopped.
I can imagine.
It makes the chance, though, of having the quorum a lot more feasible to go to 5 members.
All right, is there a motion to approve this second reading?
Motion.
Hembry with the first and Cummins with the second?
Poston,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Helm.
Yes.
All right, number 6, which is a discussion of possible action to move the first meeting in September from the 5th to either the September 7th or September 12th. That's because of does anybody have anything for sure that they cannot be in attendance on either one of those days? Does it matter which one?
I'm
That's
gonna
me.
assume the 7th is better for me, but I
Seventh
don't
is
know
after
for
Wednesday,
sure.
right?
I just feel like school wise, it's probably going to be a better option for parents.
All right. All right, September 7th is what everybody has suggested. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Poston with the first and Cummins with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Poston.
Yes.
Is it too late to tell you I won't be here that day?
Neither will I. You were supposed to run it. Number 7, discussion possible action to move the October 3rd and 17th meetings to October 10th and 24th. Mr. Wagner?
The main reason for that is the League of Cities Convention is the last Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of September. And I have to go to that. I'm on their league board now for a while anyway. And then Melissa typically goes, so there's at least 2 of us going. So we were hoping that because of being out those days, we could shift the meetings so we can participate in helping make up the council meeting packets.
What were those dates again?
It'd be to October 10th and 24th. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Cummins with the first and McNeil with the second.
Hembry,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Ashton,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
All right, down to the reports. The mayor's report. I have nothing this week. Council, committees, city manager,
Nothing tonight.
department head. There are 2 of you here. Then that makes it 3. Oh,
Four.
yeah, there you go. All right, then that moves us down to adjournment.
There's 5 of them.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
McNeil with the first and Cummins with the second.
Cummins,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Ashton,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Hembry.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.